Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to honest, practical health information for adults over 60. No gimmicks, no miracle cures, just real knowledge you can actually use. And today's topic matters more than most, because blood sugar problems affect nearly 1 in 3 Americans over the age of 65. That's not a small number. That's your bridge group. That's your church pew. That's the line at the pharmacy on a Tuesday morning. Now, most of the advice out there focuses on what to eat and what not to eat, and diet absolutely matters. We'll touch on that. But here's what nobody talks about enough. There are hidden barriers, silent saboteurs, that keep your blood sugar elevated even when you're following the rules. Some of them are biological, some are environmental, a few of them are sitting in your medicine cabinet right now, and almost none of them get the attention they deserve. So let's change that. Let's walk through the secret barriers to normal blood sugar, one by one, so you finally understand what's really happening inside your body. Grab a pen if you like taking notes, or just settle in and listen closely. This one's important. Let's start with something that surprises almost everyone. Stress raises blood sugar. Not in a vague, hand-wavy, stress is bad for you kind of way. In a measurable, clinical, shows up on your glucometer kind of way. And here's why. When your body feels stressed, whether it's emotional stress from worrying about a grandchild, physical stress from chronic pain, or even the low-grade anxiety of watching the evening news, your adrenal glands release a hormone called cortisol. Think of cortisol as your body's alarm system. When that alarm goes off, cortisol tells your liver to dump stored glucose straight into your bloodstream. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, that response kept our ancestors alive. They needed that burst of energy to run from predators, to fight, to survive. But you're not running from anything. You're lying awake at 2 in the morning thinking about your property taxes or your wife's knee surgery, or whether Social Security will cover the new prescription. Your body doesn't know the difference. Alarm goes off, cortisol floods in, liver releases sugar, blood glucose climbs. And here's the part that hits seniors hardest. As we age, cortisol levels tend to stay elevated longer. A younger person's cortisol spikes and drops back down relatively quickly. After 60, that recovery slows. The alarm rings and then it just keeps ringing. Quieter maybe, but persistent, like a smoke detector with a dying battery chirping in a back hallway. So what does this mean practically? It means the retired gentleman who checks his sugar every morning and can't figure out why it's 140 before he's eaten a single bite of food. That fasting number might have nothing to do with last night's dinner. It might have everything to do with the fact that he slept poorly, woke up twice with back pain, and spent 20 minutes in bed dreading the day. His liver was working overtime before his feet even touched the carpet. Managing stress isn't just good advice for your mental health. For blood sugar control, it's as concrete as counting carbohydrates, deep breathing exercises, gentle stretching before bed, limiting news intake after 7 in the evening, talking to someone you trust about what's weighing on you. These aren't luxuries. For your blood sugar, they function like medicine, invisible medicine that nobody prescribes on a little white pad. Now let's open that medicine cabinet, because this next barrier is one that genuinely frustrates people, and for good reason. Certain medications, prescribed by well-meaning doctors for completely legitimate health issues, can raise your blood sugar as a side effect, and many seniors take several of these at the same time without anyone ever connecting the dots. The biggest offenders? Corticosteroids. Not the same as the cortisol we just talked about, but related. Drugs like prednisone, prescribed for arthritis flare-ups, asthma, inflammatory conditions, allergic reactions. Prednisone is incredibly effective at reducing inflammation, but it also tells your liver to produce more glucose and makes your cells more resistant to insulin. Some people see their blood sugar jump 50 or 60 points within days of starting a prednisone course. If nobody warned you about that, imagine the confusion. You changed nothing in your diet, nothing in your routine, and suddenly the numbers look terrible. But it doesn't stop there. Certain blood pressure medications, specifically a class called thiazide diuretics, sometimes called water pills, can nudge blood sugar upward over time. Beta blockers, another common blood pressure drug, can mask the symptoms of low blood sugar and make it harder for your body to regulate glucose. Some statin medications, prescribed to millions of seniors for cholesterol, carry a small but documented risk of increasing blood sugar levels. Even over-the-counter decongestants, the ones you grab during cold and flu season without a second thought, contain pseudoephedrine, which can spike glucose readings in sensitive individuals. Now, let me be very clear about something. This is not a suggestion to stop taking any medication. Never do that without talking to your doctor. The point is awareness. The point is walking into your next appointment with a list of every single thing you take: prescription, over-the-counter, supplements, all of it, and asking one direct question: could any of these be affecting my blood sugar? You deserve that conversation. Many doctors are happy to have it. They just don't always think to bring it up first because they're juggling 12 other concerns during your 15-minute appointment. You might need to be the one who opens that door. Write down that question tonight. Tape it to your pill organizer if you have to. Bring it up at the next visit. Here's one that catches people completely off guard. Poor sleep, and specifically, not getting enough deep, restorative sleep, directly impairs your body's ability to handle blood sugar. This isn't my opinion. This is backed by study after study after study. When you sleep poorly, two things happen that create a nasty combination. First, your insulin sensitivity drops. Insulin is the hormone that escorts sugar from your bloodstream into your cells where it gets used for energy. When you haven't slept well, your cells become sluggish about answering the door when insulin comes knocking. Sugar stays in the blood longer. Numbers go up. Second, poor sleep increases appetite hormones, particularly a hormone called ghrelin, while suppressing the hormone that tells you you're full, called leptin. So not only is your body handling sugar less efficiently, but you're also craving more food, especially carbohydrate-heavy comfort food. Your brain is essentially screaming for quick energy because it didn't get rest. That afternoon reach for crackers or a cookie or a second helping of mashed potatoes isn't a failure of willpower. It's biology responding to exhaustion. And seniors face specific sleep challenges that younger adults often don't. Pain that worsens at night. I need to use the bathroom multiple times. Medications that cause restlessness. A partner who snores. Sleep apnea, which is enormously common in older adults and enormously underdiagnosed. Sleep apnea repeatedly interrupts breathing during the night, yanking you out of deep sleep over and over, flooding your system with stress hormones each time. Many people with sleep apnea don't even know they have it. They just know they wake up exhausted and their blood sugar readings look like a roller coaster. If you're over 60 or caring for an elderly loved one, this information could be life-saving. Ask about a sleep study if daytime fatigue is constant. Mention it if your partner has noticed loud snoring or moments where breathing seems to pause. Treating sleep apnea alone, often with a simple CPAP machine, has been shown to improve fasting blood sugar levels significantly within weeks. Your bedroom might be the most important room in your house for blood sugar control, and it has nothing to do with a midnight snack. This one is so simple it almost feels insulting, but it trips up an enormous number of seniors. Not drinking enough water. As we age, the thirst signal weakens. Your brain literally becomes less effective at telling you you're dehydrated. A 30-year-old who hasn't had water in 4 hours feels parched. A 75-year-old in the same situation might feel perfectly fine. No thirst at all, while their blood becomes gradually more concentrated. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a glass of lemonade. The sugar content is fixed, say 2 tablespoons dissolved in the liquid. Now pour out half the water and leave the sugar. The lemonade that remains is twice as sweet, twice as concentrated, even though you didn't add any sugar. That's essentially what happens in your bloodstream when you're dehydrated. The absolute amount of glucose might not have changed, but there's less fluid to dilute it, so the concentration reads higher on your meter. Certain medications make this worse. Diuretics. Remember those water pills we mentioned? Literally pull fluid out of your body. That's their job. But if you're not replenishing adequately, your blood sugar readings can creep up for reasons that have nothing to do with what you ate. The general guidance is roughly 6 to 8 glasses of water per day, but talk to your doctor about your specific needs, especially if you have heart failure or kidney issues that require fluid restriction. For most seniors, though, the problem is drinking too little, not too much. Keep a water bottle visible. Set a gentle reminder on your phone or a kitchen timer. Drink a full glass with each medication. Small habits, practiced consistently, can genuinely move the needle on those readings. This might be the most underappreciated barrier of all, and it deserves your full attention. Muscle is your body's single largest consumer of blood sugar. When you eat a meal and glucose enters your bloodstream, your muscles absorb a significant portion of it, pulling it out of the blood and either using it immediately for energy or storing it for later. Muscle tissue is, in essence, a giant sponge for sugar. After the age of 30, adults begin losing muscle mass gradually. After 60, that loss accelerates, a process called sarcopenia. By the time many seniors reach their mid-70s, they may have lost 25 to 30% of the muscle mass they carried in middle age, and every pound of muscle lost means a slightly smaller sponge, a reduced capacity to absorb glucose from the bloodstream. This is why two people can eat the exact same meal and get wildly different blood sugar responses. The person with more lean muscle has more cellular real estate available to soak up that glucose. The person with less muscle has sugar lingering in the bloodstream with fewer places to go. And here's the frustrating cycle. High blood sugar itself can accelerate muscle loss. Elevated glucose promotes inflammation, which breaks down muscle tissue faster. Less muscle means higher blood sugar. Higher blood sugar means less muscle. Round and round it goes, a quiet spiral that many seniors fall into without ever understanding why their numbers keep climbing year after year, despite eating the same foods they always have. The antidote isn't complicated, but it requires consistency. Resistance exercise, working muscles against some form of opposition, is the single most effective way to maintain and even rebuild muscle after 60. That doesn't mean bench pressing heavy barbells at a commercial gym. It means bodyweight squats holding onto a kitchen chair, wall push-ups, seated leg lifts, resistance bands that cost $12 and fit in a drawer. Even carrying grocery bags from the car counts, as long as those muscles are engaging regularly. 2 to 3 sessions per week, even 15 to 20 minutes each, can slow sarcopenia dramatically and improve blood sugar readings in ways that surprise people. A study published in the journal Diabetes Care found that older adults who added modest resistance training saw improvements in their blood sugar control comparable to adding a second diabetes medication. Comparable to medication. From exercise that can be done in a living room wearing pajamas. Your muscles aren't just for strength and mobility. They're sugar processing machinery. Keep them working. Newer research has opened a door that most seniors haven't walked through yet, and it involves the trillions of bacteria living inside your digestive tract, collectively called your gut microbiome. These microorganisms do far more than help you digest food. They produce short-chain fatty acids that improve insulin sensitivity. They regulate inflammation throughout your body. They influence how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream after a meal. When the balance of gut bacteria shifts, fewer beneficial strains, more harmful ones, blood sugar regulation suffers. What disrupts gut balance in seniors? Antibiotics are the most obvious culprit. A single course of broad-spectrum antibiotics can wipe out beneficial bacterial colonies that took years to establish. Frequent antibiotic use, common in older adults dealing with recurring urinary tract infections or respiratory infections, can leave the microbiome chronically depleted. Low fiber intake is another major disruptor. Beneficial gut bacteria feed on fiber, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds. Many seniors eat less fiber than they realize, especially when dental issues, digestive sensitivities, or simply reduced appetite shrink the variety of foods on the plate. Incorporating fermented foods, plain yogurt with live cultures, sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir can help repopulate beneficial strains. Increasing fiber gradually, even by one additional serving of vegetables per day, feeds the bacteria already present. Probiotic supplements may help some individuals, though the evidence is still evolving and quality varies enormously between brands. The gut-blood sugar connection is real, measurable, and almost entirely absent from the standard conversation your doctor has with you about managing glucose. Consider it another piece of the puzzle, one that sits right on your dinner plate. This final barrier might be the most heartbreaking, and it deserves to be said plainly. Loneliness raises blood sugar. Research from the University of Chicago and replicated across multiple institutions found that social isolation activates the same stress pathways we discussed at the beginning of this video. Cortisol rises, inflammation increases, sleep quality deteriorates, eating patterns shift toward convenience and comfort. Physical activity drops because there's less reason to leave the house. Each of those individual effects nudges blood sugar upward, and combined, they create a physiological environment where normal glucose control becomes genuinely difficult. After 60, social circles naturally contract. Friends pass away or move into care facilities, spouses are lost, children live in different states. Retirement removes the daily social structure that work provided for decades. The pandemic accelerated isolation for millions of seniors who never fully reconnected afterward, still ordering groceries online, still avoiding crowded spaces, still spending most hours alone with a television that talks but never listens. This isn't about being weak or needing attention. Humans are social organisms at a cellular level. Your body responds to connection the way it responds to nutrition. It requires it to function properly. A weekly phone call with a friend, a church group that meets for coffee, a walking partner, even once a week, volunteering at a library or food bank, a grandchild who FaceTimes on Saturday mornings. These interactions lower cortisol, improve sleep, encourage movement, and reduce the kind of stress eating that sends glucose soaring after dark. Blood sugar management isn't only about what you eat, it's about how you live, who you talk to, and whether you feel like you still matter. You do. You absolutely, unequivocally do. Let's bring it all together. The secret barriers to normal blood sugar include chronic stress and elevated cortisol that tells your liver to release glucose you never asked for. Medications, sometimes several at once, that quietly push numbers higher as a side effect nobody mentioned. Poor sleep and undiagnosed sleep apnea that cripple insulin sensitivity overnight. Dehydration that concentrates blood sugar without adding a single gram of glucose. Muscle loss that shrinks your body's ability to absorb sugar from the bloodstream. Gut microbiome imbalances that undermine the entire digestive process. And loneliness, genuine physical loneliness, that activates every stress pathway in the book. None of these barriers are your fault, and recognizing them doesn't mean throwing out the dietary advice your doctor gave you. It means adding layers of understanding. It means approaching blood sugar management as the whole body, whole life challenge it actually is, rather than reducing it to a single column on a food label. You are not failing. You have been fighting with incomplete information. That changes today. Talk to your doctor at your next appointment. Bring a list of your medications and ask the question. Mention your sleep. Mention your stress. Ask about a referral for resistance training guidance. Drink more water tomorrow than you drank today. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Not because this video told you to, but because your body will thank you for it in ways a blood glucose meter can actually measure. You've spent this whole video investing in your health. That matters. That says something about who you are. If this information helped you, I'd love for you to subscribe so you never miss a video like this one. Share it with a friend, a spouse, a son or daughter who worries about your health. Let them understand what you're dealing with. And drop a comment below telling me which of these barriers surprised you the most. I read every single one, and your experience might help someone else who's watching and feeling exactly the way you felt 10 minutes ago. Take care of yourselves. You deserve every good day ahead of you. I'll see you in the next one.